Dear students, welcome you all. In the last class, we have discussed in brief about what is it you are going to study in this functional finishes subject, and we have discussed in brief about each and every unit. So what you are going to study. Okay. So hope you have some kind of understanding about what is it you are going to study in this functional finishes subject. Okay. So today, we are going to start with the unit 1. So which is all about the functional finishes of water repellency and then resin finishes. Water repellency and then resin finishing. This is what we are going to study in this unit 1 in detail. Okay. So today we are going to start with this water repellent finishes. Water repellent finishes, and these water repellent finishes where we are going to discuss the various aspects of this water repellent finishes. Various aspects of this water repellent finishes. Say for example, if you take a solid surface, and if you are putting a drop of water on the solid surface, where depending upon the surface characteristics of the solid surface as well as the surface tension in a water droplet, which decides the absorbency of a droplet by the fabric surface or solid surface. So what are the different factors that influences this droplet absorption by the solid surface, and what are the different terminologies which are related to this water repellency, and finally how to get the water repellency for a solid surfaces. For example, again you can take if you take normal cotton fabric, what do you think? Cotton will absorb moisture or it won't absorb moisture? Cotton, it readily absorbs the moisture. It readily absorbs the water droplet. Suppose if you are putting a droplet on a cotton fabric, what will happen? Immediately the droplet is going to absorb by the fabric. The droplet is going to absorb by the fabric. Now, if you take the same cotton fabric and if you put a drop of water onto the cotton fabric, where what will happen in the normal instances? The droplet is going to spread easily through the fabric surface. Suppose if you want to make the same cotton fabric water repellent, what we can do? So we can go for applying some kind of finishes. We are going to apply some kind of finishes onto the same cotton fabric. So after getting the particular finish, if you put a drop of water, where the drop will not enter into the fabric structure, where you can see the image clearly, where the yellow color is nothing but the fabric and the blue color you can see the water droplet which is not enter inside the fabric structure. So this is called as water repellency. Okay. So in this particular topic, where we are going to concentrate mainly on the terminologies like what is this wetting phenomenon, and what is wicking, and what is the difference between this wetting and wicking, and what way this wetting and wicking is related to this water repellency, and finally the important concept related to water repellency, which is nothing but surface energy concept. These three things we'll be discussing in today's presentation. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, before moving into the concept, so I like to give you the objective of today's topic is to provide you the knowledge in achieving water repellency on textile surfaces and its related or important concepts. And at the end of the presentation, where you are going to get an outcome of where you will be able to understand the differences between wetting and then wicking, and in what way the surface energy concept it is related to water repellency, and if you want to get the water repellency, how to change the surface energy of a solid surface. So these kind of outcome you are going to get at the end of this presentation. Okay, now before going to this topic, to make you more interest towards this topic, I like to give you some applications of this water repellent finished fabrics. Is it right? Now if you take the water repellency finish, as you already know, the subject is functional finishes. What is a finish? So the finish is a kind of treatment we are giving to fabric. It's a kind of treatment we are giving to fabric at the end of its processing stage. At the end of its processing stage. That means what? So after getting the fabric from weaving mills or fabric manufacturing, where we are taking it to the processing industry, where the fabric has to be treated or the fabric has to process through different stages. For example, singeing, desizing, scouring, bleaching, mercerization, dyeing, printing, and finally we are doing this finishing process. Finally, we are giving this finishing process. So, finishing is the last stage of wet processing industry. So, once the finishing has been given, where the fabric is subjected to garment industries to make or to produce garments out of it. Okay, so here we are intended to provide water repellency finishes. Water repellent finishes. What do you mean by this water repellent finish? Where if you take a solid surface, even you can look at in the image also, where he is wearing a jacket, where even after the water droplet is subjecting onto the droplet, that is jacket, the droplets are not enter inside the garment. So here we have achieved this water repellency. Water repellency. Okay, so we have given this water repellency finishes, and afterwards where the fabric will go, the finished fabric, the fabric is subjected to garment industries to make garments which suits the final end use applications. End use applications. There are n number of applications. Even we might be experienced with different practical applications where we are using this water repellent garment. Say for example, in this image you can see a jacket which we are wearing during the rainy seasons, which is made out of water repellency finish. That means a base textile structure will be there. That may be of polyester cloth, that may be of blends, where which is coated or which is by different finish applications where we have achieved this water repellency. And we have another application where this is, I think you can easily identify what is its cloth is, that is tarpaulin cloth, which we are generally using to cover the goods and also for making tents and all, where you can see clearly where the droplet after subjecting into the tarpaulin fabric surface, where it is not penetrating inside. Instead of that, where the droplets are just it is rolling and then it is just coming out from the fabric surface. Here also you can see one of the important applications of water repellent finishes. Okay, and here also you can see one more applications like those who are doing this skiing and then mountaineering activities. So there also they might be subjected with different atmospheres, like there might be high wind, there might be sometimes rain may comes. So where the fabric or the garment which he is wearing, so which should withstand all these kind of external atmospheres. Okay, so likewise these water repellent finished fabrics or the garments find its applications and number of applications, like swimwear also, whatever this dresses they are wearing, it is of waterproof. Whereas in case of cycling operations, like the athletes cycling, whatever this activity they are doing, whatever the jackets they are wearing, that is made out of water repellency. Why? Because they may be subjected to different atmospheric conditions. Sometimes rain may also come, where the fabric has to provide the performances. Okay, so earlier days, if you see, where whatever the garments, maybe the sports persons or maybe the ordinary persons, they might be selecting the garments only based on aesthetic appearance or aesthetic appeal. That means, okay, by just for looking the garment, okay, this is good. So that was the perception in earlier days for selection of a particular clothing. But nowadays, even an ordinary customer, he is expecting for a performance in a garment. He is expecting for a performance in a garment, along with this aesthetic feel. The performance in the sense, the kind of protection he is going to get from the external environments. Understand? So that is where this functional finishes concept came into existence, and where it is growing like anything, like where the need also it is increasing like anything, right from ordinary wear to that of particular end use application. Say for example, if you take sports activities, if you take any other particular activity, like if you want to cover your goods, if you want to use any garment for swimming, if you want to use any garment for cycling activity, or if cricketers are using any particular these garments where they are expecting some kind of functions, they are expecting a kind of function apart from this aesthetic feel, everything. Okay, so this is about the brief introduction about this water repellency finishes. Now you can see here, so there is also kind of cloth which has given with this water repellent finishes. Okay, now so if you look at the concept water repellency, so by the name itself you can easily understand, so where we have a finish, or we have taken a fabric surface and we have given a finish, so that whenever we are putting a drop of water in the fabric surface where the fabric is repelling the water, that means it is not allowing the water droplet to penetrate inside. So this is called as water repellency. And whatever the finishes that repel water, oil and dirt are important in all parts of textile market, which the particular garments, they might be meant for clothing, ordinary clothing, and then home textiles or technical applications. So wherever we are using the clothing, like ordinary clothing or home textile or technical textile, where the finishes which repel water and oil and dirt are important in all parts of the textile market. Now you can see the mechanism or the concept of water repellency here. Here you can see it clearly, where we have, you can see the droplets. These blue colors are nothing but the droplets, where you can see we have a layer. The green color is nothing but the layer. Okay, that is whatever the finish we have given. Now what is happening here, even after subjecting the droplets on the top layer of the fabric, the droplets are not entering inside. You can observe clearly, it is not entering inside, just like the water drop which we are putting on this lotus leaf. So what will happen there? So that is the inspiration behind this introduction of this water repellency finishes. So that means what? I think you might be seen this kind of thing, like if you take a lotus leaf and if you put a drop of water on a lotus leaf, where the droplet will not enter, instead of that it just stay over the leaf surface itself. So this was taken as inspiration, and then they have developed this water repellency finishes. This is called as biomimetics. That means from the nature we are imitating something. So that's why it is also called as biomimetics. Okay, so this is the water repellency. Okay, and this water repellency is achieved using different product groups. But with respect to oil repellency is concerned, so it can be achieved only with this fluorocarbon polymers, which we will be discussing in this in continuation to this presentation. Okay, now, so this is the brief introduction about the water repellency. Understand? Now, so in the process of getting water repellency, where we are subjecting the fabric to different finishes, different chemicals. After applying the chemicals onto the fabric surface, where some of the characteristics of fabrics are going to influence, going to affect. Okay, now, so in order to understand those kind of things, in order to understand the different aspects in these water repellency finishes, where one should understand initially what is wetting, and what is wicking. Why? Because I'll tell you why. Because now here what we are expecting to do, we are expecting to get water repellency. That means, so even in the image also, the first one also you can see, in the surface there is a droplet which is not enter into the fabric. That means we want the water droplet not to enter inside. We want, again I am repeating, we want the water droplet not to enter inside the fabric surface. That is our important, our primary objective. In order to make the fabric surface water repellent, before that what we need to understand? We need to understand how the fabric is absorbing the moisture, or how the wetting is taking place. I think you are getting my point. So here the main objective of this today's topic is where we need to achieve this water repellency. That means we don't want the water droplet to penetrate inside the fabric. This is our main objective. In order to understand this, in order to get the particular finish, where initially we need to understand, so what is the mechanism behind how the water droplet is absorbed by the fabric. How the water droplet is absorbed by the fabric. First, if we can understand this mechanism, later we can think of how to make it water repellent. How to make it water repellent. Understand? Without knowing how the droplet is absorbed by the fabric, how can you decide your treatment combinations? How can you decide the different chemicals and its different combinations? It is highly impossible. It is highly impossible. That's why what we are doing is, now we are going to discuss about what is this wetting, how wetting is taking place. How wetting is taking place. That means we are taking a solid surface or a fabric. We are putting a drop of water on the fabric surface. The droplet is easily absorbed. Now we are going to understand how it is taking place. Later we can easily understand what is the mechanism we are following to make the same fabric water repellent. Understand? That is the objective, and now we are going to discuss about it. Now, if you look at this wetting, so it is the displacement of fiber air interface with fiber liquid interface. Where is this fiber air and fiber liquid? So initially, if you take a solid surface, if you take a fiber, initially before putting a drop of water, where this is the fiber, where the interface will be with air initially. Fiber and air will be there. Now whenever we are putting a drop of water, what will happen? This air interface is replaced by the liquid interface. Liquid interface. So obviously what will happen? Where the wetting is taking place. Okay. Now if you look at this wicking. So this wicking is the spontaneous flow of a liquid in a porous substrate. Porous substrate is nothing but our fabric surface only, which is having fine pores or fine holes driven by capillary forces. So here what is happening, where the liquid flow will be there through the capillary pores to the pores because of the capillary forces. Understand? Now because the capillary forces are caused by wetting, so wicking is the result of spontaneous wetting in a capillary system. So that means initially if you take a fabric surface and if you put a drop of water, the wetting is taking place, and that causes the capillary forces caused by wetting. Okay, so which makes the water droplet to flow through the pores which are there in the fabric surface. And this fiber wettability is therefore a prerequisite for occurrence of wicking. So in order to have this wicking, where wetting is a prerequisite. So without wetting, so wicking will not take place. Okay, now you can see here, so in this image clearly, so what is this wetting? So where you can see there are two surfaces. There are two surfaces. At two images you can see. In one image where you can see here it is good wetting and here it is poor wetting. Good wetting and then poor wetting. So why good wetting and poor wetting? You can see the surface. The first one is hydrophilic surface and second one is hydrophobic surface. So depending upon, so what kind of surface it is, whether it is hydrophilic surface, already you have studied in previous semester, what is hydrophilic surfaces? The surface which easily absorbs the water particles, that is called as hydrophilic surfaces. What is the hydrophobic surface? The surfaces which will not absorb the water droplets, that is called as hydrophobic surfaces. Now depending upon the kind of surface, whether it is hydrophilic or hydrophobic, where wetting phenomenon will depends. So in case of hydrophilic surfaces, where we can see here good wetting is taking place. In case of hydrophobic surfaces, where you can see clearly poor wetting is taking place. Poor wetting is taking place. So that is the difference here. Okay, and here also you can see the wicking phenomenon here. Wicking phenomenon. Say for example, I can tell you from this image you can see clearly. So where skin is there, you can see the skin, and whatever the activities we are doing, which because of that some amount of heat will generate, and how the heat will escape? It will escape in the form of sweat. It will escape in the form of sweat. You can see the blue color is nothing but the sweat. Now whatever the fabric which we are wearing, so this sweat will escape through this that is whatever the layer of fabric which is in direct contact to the skin, through that layer where this moisture will, or this sweat will wick. That means the sweat will just go away from the body in the form of wicking here. So this is this image. Here also you can see the wetting phenomenon. So less wetting and then more wetting. So you can see here where what makes the surface more wet and what makes the surface less wet. You can see the numbers also 0, 90 and then 180. It represents the contact angles. So if the contact angle is 0, where you can see complete spreading on solid surface takes place. That means complete wetting of droplet on the fabric surface. Now you can see the contact angle 90, you can see where the complete wetting is not there, but we can say that it is partially or wetting. And if you still go above this 90, that is 180, where you can see non-wetting surfaces. That means what? So even after putting the droplet on fabric surface, the droplet is not at all entering inside the fabric. So which is, the surface is called as non-wetting surfaces. Understand? So this is also one kind of representation where you can easily understand the wetting phenomenon. And here also you can see the wicking process. You can easily understand from this image. You can see the top one is nothing but the fabric surface, and the bottom one is nothing but the moisture, which is nothing but the sweat, whatever the sweat which is produced. And now you can see the bottom one, still bottom one is nothing but skin layer. Now through the fabric, whatever the sweat or the moisture which is there, which is escapes through the body in the form of wicking. Understand? So here also you can see, even all these representations will make you understand the concept much better. So that is the reason why I am showing this many images to you. Again, you can see in this image, so which makes you clear about the concept of wicking. Now you can see through the body, whatever the sweat which is coming out, it is escaping through the pores which is there in a fabric, and through the pores where the moisture is evaporates from the fabric, so which makes the fabric dry. Understand? This is wicking phenomenon. Now, if we further discuss about the wetting process, why? Because so the understanding of the wetting phenomenon is very, very important for us. Understanding this wetting phenomenon is very important for us. Why? Because without understanding what is this wetting and how wetting is taking place, we cannot design our treatment to make the fabric water repellent or waterproofing. Understand? Now, if you look at this wetting, it is the ability of the liquid to maintain contact with solid surface. It is the ability of liquid to maintain contact with the solid surface resulting from intermolecular interactions when they brought together. Intermolecular interactions when they brought together. That means if you brought liquid droplet as well as your solid surface together, whatever these intermolecular interactions are there, that results in the wetting process. So again I am repeating, the wetting is the ability of a liquid to contact with a solid surface resulting from intermolecular interactions when they are brought together. So this is called as wetting, and it is determined by the balance between adhesive forces in the solid surface and cohesive forces in the liquid surface. So depending upon the balancing of adhesive forces in the solid and cohesive forces in a liquid surface, where the wetting is going to be determined. Either the fabric surface is wetted or the fabric surface is not wetted. So this thing is going to be determined by this adhesive forces in a solid surface. Understand carefully. Adhesive forces in a solid surface as well as cohesive forces in a liquid surface. Cohesive forces in a liquid surface. Now, this wetting deals with three phases of materials generally. Wetting deals with three phases of materials generally. The first one is gas. Second one is liquids, and third one is solids. Gas, liquid, and then solid. So again I am repeating, generally the wetting deals with three phases: gas, liquid, and then solid. Why? Because if you take a fabric surface, we can consider it as a solid. Now, without think that you are not putting any drop of liquid. Now, before that, what are the interactions? This solid may interact with the air which is there in the atmosphere. So gas presence is there. Now whenever you are putting a drop of water onto this solid surface, so what will happen? Where there is a shifting of phases from gas to liquid. Now liquid and solid will finally interact with each other. So that's why here it is said that where the wetting is dealing with the three phases of materials. Now this wetting is important in the bonding or adherence of two materials. That means liquid as well as solid surfaces. Now, as I told you already, adhesive forces between liquid and solid causes a liquid droplet to spread across the surface of fabric. Adhesive forces between liquid and solid. Okay. That means this is a solid, you are putting a drop of water. So between solid and this liquid droplet, If adhesive forces are more, that is more attraction towards the liquid as well as the solid surface, what will happen? Where the liquid will spread easily through the solid surface. Understand? And the cohesive forces within a liquid cause the drop to ball up and avoid contact with the surface. So even in the previous slide also we have discussed where adhesive forces and then cohesive forces. So adhesive forces between solid and the water droplet, which decides the spreading of droplet through the fabric surface. So if adhesive forces are more, where easily the droplet will spread. Understand? If adhesive forces are less between liquid and solid, where the droplet will not spread. The same way, one more important thing with respect to liquid, which is nothing but cohesive forces, that is intermolecular forces within the liquid. Intermolecular forces within the liquid, which causes, or whatever these cohesive forces are there within the liquid, which causes the drop to ball up and avoid contact with the surface. Drop to ball up and avoid contact with the surface. Now you can see in this image, the first one. Now you can see there is a droplet in the fabric surface. Do you think the droplet is absorbed here? No, the droplet is not absorbed. So it means that the cohesive forces inside the liquid droplet is more. Understand? Now, when a drop of liquid on a solid surface does not spread, when a drop of liquid on a solid surface does not spread, that means it stay on a fabric surface just like in this image, the drop will assume a shape that appears constant and exhibits an angle theta, which is called as contact angle. So that means you are taking a solid surface and you are putting a drop of water. Think that the drop is not spread inside the solid surface. So obviously the drop will make some angle with the fabric surface. So this angle we call it as contact angle. Understand? This contact angle are based on the contact angle, so we can easily predict what is the characteristic of fabric is. What is the characteristics of the fabric, or we can say that the characteristics of the liquid solid interactions, how the liquid and solid are interacting. Understand? So therefore the equilibrium contact angle serves as an indication of wettability of solid by the liquid. So finally the wettability of the solid by the liquid is we can easily determine based on the contact angle. If contact angle is less, that means the droplet is spread it completely. So even in this image, the second image you can see here, where you can see three different angles: theta 90, that is greater than 90, less than 90, and theta is equal to 0. What is that theta? That theta stands for contact angle. If the theta value is less, that means that the droplet is easily spread on the solid surface. If the droplet or if the contact angle theta is more than 90, that means you can see the droplet just stay over the fabric surface itself. So that is the importance of contact angle. Now, whatever this interfacial forces, that is the forces between two surfaces, like the liquid and vapor liquid, and solid and solid, okay, and vapor, solid and vapor. Again I am repeating, the interfacial forces between the liquid and vapor, liquid and solid and vapor. Here we are talking about the interfacial forces of three different ways. One is liquid and vapor, which is nothing but the air. Okay, and then liquid and solid, liquid and then solid and then vapor, like fabric surface and then air, all come into play. All these three things, interfacial forces between these three things will come into play when determining whether a liquid spread on a smooth solid surface or not. Liquid spread on a smooth solid surface or not. Understand? Now you can see here clearly where there is a solid surface, where the T stands for the textile surface. Now this L is nothing but the liquid droplet. After putting the liquid droplet on the solid surface, where now you can see, so this is nothing but the contact angle. So depending upon the contact angle, so one can decide the characteristics of the fabric surfaces, whether the surface is easily wettable or the surface is difficult to wet. Understand? So that kind of things and all we can easily determine using these contact angle measurements. Okay, so this is about wetting and wicking. I hope you have understand this concept of wetting and then wicking, and what way we are relating this with the water repellency. I'll just brief out before winding up the today's session. I'll just brief out so what we have studied in this, or what we have gone through this particular class. So we have seen what is water repellency. So what is repellency concept? So what is the concept of water repellency? If you take a fabric surface, if you put a drop of water where the droplet should not enter inside, where the droplet should not enter inside. So this is called as water repellency. But the criteria, one more criteria we need to consider here is where it is not allowing the droplet to enter, but at the same time it is allowing the moisture vapor to enter inside. Say for example, this is a jacket. For example, this is a jacket of water repellency. Now I am wearing this jacket. Now suppose if I am going out, what is happening in a rainy season where the droplet will fall onto the jacket, the droplet should not enter. So this is one thing. And say even in that situation where I am doing some activity, some amount of sweat is coming out now. So that sweat allowing will be there to the inside to outside. Inside to outside, where that movement of moisture will be there. Inside to outside and outside to inside also. Understand? So that cannot be stopped. So where that movement is there. Only thing is where the fabric surface will not allow the droplet to enter inside. So this is called as water repellency. Okay. So in the process of understanding this water repellency, one should understand how actual wetting is taking place. What is the phenomenon behind how the wetting is taking place, or what is this wetting? What is wetting? If you are taking a solid surface, if you put a drop of water where the droplet is absorbed by the fabric, or the droplet is spread across the solid surface, this is called as wetting. This is called as wetting. So in this presentation we are trying to understand what is this wetting and the consequent wicking, how wicking also taking place through the pores because of the capillary pressures. Understand? So with this knowledge, so we can easily go with the next stage, how to make the same solid surface water repellent. Understand? This is what we have discussed. Even we have discussed about the contact angle and its importance. So contact angle is nothing but where the angle which is made by the water droplet when it is contact with the solid surface. So depending upon the angle, if the angle is less, where complete spreading of droplet takes place. If the angle is more, that means where the droplet spreading will not takes place. Okay, understand? So this is called as contact angle. Understand? This is what we have discussed in today's class. Okay, so hope you understand this class. In the next class we will discuss about the surface energy concept. The surface energy concept and how this surface energy concept that also related to water repellency. So the collective knowledge based on the wetting and then surface energy concept which make us to easily understand this water repellency and what kind of finishes we need to provide this. We need to apply onto the solid surface to get the water repellency. Is that clear? So thank you all. Okay. So now let us discuss about this surface energy concept. Surface energy concept and how it is related to water repellency. So in the beginning of the presentation itself, I told you, so surface energy is surface energy of solids, or the surface tension which is there in the liquid droplets or liquid particles are very important to consider, so which directly influences the wettability of a solid surfaces. Understand? So now, so if you look at the surface energy, so in the name itself you can easily understand, that is, if you take solid surface for example, okay, now this is the surface, and whatever the energy which is there on a surface, obviously this surface is made up of the molecules, or so where some kind of work is needed or work was required to make this surface. So because of that, certain energy which is present in a surface of the solid particles. So this surface energy, or the energy which is there on a surface, is called as surface energy. Understand? Now all the solids have surface energies. If you are talking about solids, where we are talking about this surface energies, that means the energy which is there on a surface of the solid particles. Okay, so based on the energy levels, like whether the energy is very high energy is there or low energy is there, where the wettability of the solid surfaces are depends. Now if you look at this surface energy, it is a function of the surface area and the amount of electronic charge present in it. So it is a function of surface area and the amount of electrical charge present, which is made up by the molecules at that surface. That means in a given surface area, what is that amount of electrical charge that is present. So if the amount of electrical charge present is more, then we call it as the high energy surfaces. Suppose if the amount of electrical charge present is low, then we call it as low energy surfaces. Understand? So in addition, so where till now we have discussed about this energy which is present in a solid surfaces, that is called as surface energies. Now when it comes to liquids, where we are calling that surface or the intermolecular forces, we call it as surface tensions. So that's what which is given here. In addition, all liquids have a surface tension, and which is a measure of the interaction energies between the molecules. Interaction energies between the molecules that make up the liquid when liquid gas interface. Understand? So we are just repeating again, we are talking about the surface energy and then surface tension. When it comes to solid surfaces, say for example fabric surfaces, where we are calling it as surface energy, that means the energy which is there in a solid surfaces. So if the energy is more, that means the amount of electrical charge in a given surface area is more, we call it as high energy surfaces. If the amount of electrical charge in a surface area is less or is low, we call it as low energy surfaces. This is about the solids. When it comes to liquids, where we are calling it as surface tension. How this surface tension is coming? This is because of the interaction energies between the molecules inside the liquids. between the molecules in the liquids. Understand, that is called as surface tension within the liquids. Okay, now the most common units. So in order to express the surface energy or surface tension for both, the most common units, so which is used to measure these are dynes per centimeter and millinewton per meter. So any of the units we can use to express or to measure the surface energy. Okay, so which is nothing but, again in the last slide also we have seen, force per unit length. Force per unit length, that is, which is analogous to energy per unit area, that is, which is more or less similar to energy per unit area. Understand? So this is how we are measuring the surface energy. Okay, now when it comes to liquids such as water, have a surface tension due to the strong interactions between the polar water molecules. So whatever the water particles are there, so which is having high surface tension. So why this high surface tension is coming, high surface tension is there? Because of the strong interactions between the polar water molecules. That's why the water is always having high surface tension. It is about 72 dynes per centimeter. Okay, at the air or water interface, air and water interface, this interaction energy is exhibited by the surface molecules. Interaction energies displayed by or exhibited by the surface molecules, displaying a skin-like effect because of this high energy or high surface tension or strong interaction between the polar water molecules, which is displaying a skin-like effect. Where it displaying a skin-like effect? At the air-water interface. That means the water particles, we have not yet placed on any solid surfaces. Now when it comes to oils, so I told you for water molecules it is having high surface tension because of strong interactions between the polar molecules. Understand? When it comes to oils which are having low surface tension, as they are only very weak interactions between the apolar molecules. Apolar is nothing but which doesn't have any electrical charges. Because of that, what will happen is oil particles or oil droplets always having low molecular weight. When you just put an oil on any solid surface, say for example if you take fabrics, where it will easily absorb by the solid based on the surface energy which is present in the solids. Understand? So from this slide what you can understand is where liquids are having, like water droplets are having high surface energy surface tension, when it comes to oils which are having low surface tension. So why water droplets are having high surface tension and oil is having low surface tension? Again that is because of the interaction between the molecules inside these liquids. When it comes to water, where there are strong interactions. When it comes to oil, there are very weak interactions between the apolar molecules. Understand? Now if you look at water, as I told you already, water has the highest surface tension of common liquids. When you compare with the common liquids, water is having highest surface tension, which is 72 millinewtons per meter at 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, now if you look at this surface energy which is performed on solids at solid gas interface, which provides the information about the solid wettability. I told you in the beginning also. So this surface energy is very, very important factor we need to consider when it comes to water repellency is concerned or water absorbency of a solid particle is concerned. So without measuring or without knowing the information about the surface energy of a solid particle, we cannot arrive at we cannot simply arrive at the wettability of a surface. Or in other words, where based on the surface energies of a solid surface of solids, where we can tell about the characteristics of the fabric is whether the fabric is hydrophilic or hydrophobic or oleophobic or oleophilic. That means oil repellency or oil absorbency. So that's why I told you in the beginning also, where this surface energy plays a very important role in deciding the wettability of a solid surfaces. Now you can see here in this image, you can see in this image where you can see low energy surfaces and high energy surfaces. Low energy surfaces is at the top and high energy surface is at the bottom. Now what is happening, what you can understand from this image? So when it comes to low energy surface and when it comes to high energy surface, low energy and then high energy surface. Now if you look at the water droplet, if you look at the size of the water droplet or the contact angle of water droplet on the solid surface. So contact angle we have discussed already. What is this contact angle? So there is a solid surface. When the water droplet is placed onto the solid surface, depending upon the wettability of the, that is the characteristics of solid surface, the droplet may absorb or the droplet may stay over the surface of the fabric itself. So that results in that leads to make an angle towards the solid surface. That is called as contact angle. So in case of low energy surfaces, where you can see non-wetting, that means even after putting the droplet on the solid surface, it doesn't absorb, it doesn't wetted by the solid surface. And you can see in the bottom where high energy surfaces, where good wettability and then adhesion. Good wettability and then adhesion. What do you mean by adhesion? Attraction between solid particles as well as the liquid particles. So from this we can easily understand, in case of high energy surfaces, where whenever if you put a drop of water, it will be easily absorbed. Understand? When it comes to a low energy surface, where the droplet, even after putting the droplet, it won't absorb by the fabric. So I think from the beginning also we have explained you why we are studying the wettability or wetting concept. So I think you may get the answer now. Why? Because suppose if you take cotton fabric, normal cotton fabric, if you are putting a drop of water, it is easily absorbed by the fabric. That means, so what is the characteristics of surface there? Cotton fabric is at that time where the surface is highly energy, that is the surface is having high energy than the water droplet, so that whenever you are putting a water droplet, it is easily absorbed by the fabric. It is easily absorbed by the fabric. Okay, suppose if you want to make the same cotton fabric hydrophobic, that means hydrophobic in the sense it should not absorb the water droplets. So what you can do, by applying suitable chemicals or suitable finishes, so that you are reducing the surface energy. So as like this, that's simple. So we are reducing the surface energy in a solid than the water droplets. So obviously what will happen, if you put a drop of water on a solid surface, where the droplet, it will not go into the fabric pores, or it will not absorb by the fabric. So that's why understanding this surface energy concept is very important to decide the level of the chemicals required, the concentration of chemicals required, and the type of method we need to follow to get the particular finishes depends. Okay, so this is what I explained you. Now, so this surface energy, again it is relevant energy of the bonds which are there in a energy is the relevant energy of these bonds. Okay, and the surface energy associated with them, because why it is associated in the surface? Because work is needed to form them. Understand? Now this surface energy, we can also call it as, is a work per unit area done by the force that creates a new surface. If the surface we are creating in the sense, as such it will not create. So certain amount of work is required in a given area. Okay, so in order to perform some work where it needs certain forces. Okay, so work per unit area done by the force, so that creates the new surfaces. So this way also we can express this surface energy concept. And here also again you can see the same thing, like low energy surface and then high energy surface. Low energy and then high energy surface. And you can see two arrow marks here, like in x-axis, in y-axis. So in x-axis you can see this surface energy of test surface. That means surface energy of solids. Now you can see the beginning is nothing but surface energy is low. So when it is moving towards this direction where the surface energy is high. Understand? In the y-axis you can see parallelly where the drop surface tension. You can see. So when it comes to, again you have to understand this. When it comes to solids, we are talking about surface energy. When it comes to liquids, we are talking about surface tensions. So this you need to remember. Understand? Now here in x-axis where we have the solid surface energy is there, and here in y-axis we are taking surface tension, drop surface tension. That is nothing but the drop may be liquid, the drop may be water, or that may be oil. For example, here we can take it as a water droplet. Now in the low energy surfaces you can see where the surface tension of droplet is high. This is what you have to understand. So if a surface is characterized as non-wetting surfaces, that means it is not absorbing the water droplet. That means that here the surface energy is very low surface energy. At the same time, the surface tension of droplet is more. Surface tension of droplet is more. That's why where the surface we are characterizing it as non-wetting surfaces. When it comes to higher, like the wetting surfaces, now here you can see how this wetting surface is characterized. So if a surface is absorbing the water droplets, in the sense the surface energy of solid is higher than the surface tension of droplet. So here you can see the surface tension of droplet is less, whereas the surface energy in a solid surface is more. That's why where the droplet is easily absorbing. So here you have to understand the criteria of the wetting surfaces and then non-wetting surfaces. In case of wetting surfaces, where high energy of solids and then low surface tension of liquids. In case of non-wetting surfaces, how the solid surface is characterized, where the surface energy of solid is less than the droplet surface tension. Understand? So then we call it as low energy surfaces or non-wetting surfaces. So this is very, very important. You have to understand this concept. Without understanding this concept and without knowing what is the surface energy, so you cannot decide your right treatment, right finish. Understand? You cannot decide your right finish combination, and you cannot send it the finished fabric for right end use application. Right end use application. Understand? So whatever these finishes we are giving, so obviously we are aiming at the particular end use application. So according to the particular end use application, we need to give our suitable finish. if you want to give the suitable finish, obviously where you should understand all these things about your fabric. Without understanding and simply blindly if you apply the finish, where maybe you can get the water repellency, but that may not suits for the end use application. So this thing you have to keep it in your mind. Understand? Now, so whatever this energy which is there in a solid surfaces, which is nothing but the interactions in the molecules, so that holds the substrate together. So in case of high energy substrates, so in the last slide also we have seen, in the case of high energy surfaces which are held together by bonds, okay, held together by bonds. In case of low energy surfaces or low energy substrates are held together by forces. When it comes to bonds where we have covalent bond and then ionic bonds or metallic bonds are much stronger than the forces like van der Waals forces and hydrogen bonding. Understand? So in case of high energy surfaces, we are saying that, or we are claiming that, where it has been wetted more easily than the low energy substrates. Understand? So it is because of high interactions, high level of interactions in the surface of the solid particles. Understand? Now here also again you can see the high energy surface and then low energy surface. In case of high energy surface, so good adhesive, wet out. In case of low energy surface, poor adhesive, wet out. Adhesive is nothing but what? The attraction forces between solid and the liquid particles. Now you can see in high energy surface, so this is a solid surface. After putting the droplet, it started wetted by the surface because of the surface energy in a solid is more than the surface tension in the liquids. When it comes to low energy surface, where the surface energy which is present in the solid surface is lower than the surface tension which is in the droplet. So that means where the droplet is having high surface tension, whereas the solid surface is having low surface tension. That's simple. So which makes the surface not wetted by the solid, not wetted by the liquid particles. Understand? I hope you understand this surface energy concept. So where by understanding this image. Okay. Now if you look at this water, as I told you already, which is having high surface tension. So that's why. So if whatever the water particles, if it has to wet any solid surface, obviously the solid surfaces should have high surface energy than the water. Is that simple? So why? Because we have already discussed in the previous slides. So what we have discussed, so in case of a wetted surface, the energy, that is surface energy which is present in a solids should always higher than the surface tension of a liquid particles or water particles. In case of water particles, the surface tension is 72.8 millinewton per meter. If this water droplet has to wet any solid surface, in the sense, say for example a cotton fabric, in the sense where the surface energy should be more than the water, that means it should be greater than 72, then only this water particle is wetted by the cotton surface. Understand? So or we can say that the surfaces should have high polar groups. It tends to wet only surfaces bearing higher polar groups. So here again I want to stress one more important point which you might have studied in the previous semesters. So polar groups, that means hydroxyl groups which are present in the solid surfaces. Say for example, if you take cotton fabric, we have hydroxyl groups are there. Suppose if you take polyester fabric, do you think polyester is having hydroxyl groups? Polyester is having hydroxyl groups? Just think about it. Obviously, polyester doesn't have any polar groups. So that makes the polyester hydrophobic, and the polar presence of polar groups makes the cotton fabric hydrophilic. It makes a cotton fabric hydrophilic. Understand? This is the thing. Now, if not, that means if there are no polar groups in case of polyester, where even after putting the droplet, it forms a spherical shape with contact angle higher than 90. Contact angle higher than 90. Again, in this image, you can easily understand low energy surfaces are non-polar surfaces, high energy surface, and then polar surface. Our energy surface are polar surface. Now you can see in case of low energy surface, even after putting the droplet, where it forms an angle with the surface. Here also it has an angle is forming, but the angle is less here, that is less than 90 here, but here the angle is more than 90. Understand? So this is the surface energies. Now you can see in this table the critical surface tension of smooth polymeric surfaces, or critical surface tension or surface energy of a polymeric surfaces. Now you can see the different polymers here, like a polytetrafluoroethylene, that is polyester. Sorry, it is not polyester. It is polyethylene terephthalate is polyester, and polydimethyl siloxanes, where in the next column you can see the surface energies in dynes per centimeter is given from 18 to 46. So the surface energy is higher for polyhexamethylene adiponate, that is 46, and polyvinyl alcohol it is 37, polyethylene that is 31. Okay, likewise critical surface tension is. And here you can see the relation between contact angle and wettability. Contact angle and wettability. So here there are three columns. You can see contact angle, degree of wetting, and then strength of interactions. So between solid to liquid and liquid to liquid. And now you can see the contact angle. Contact angle. As I told you already, if the contact angle is less than 90, the surface is characterized as highly hydrophilic. If the contact angle is more than 90, where the surface is characterized as hydrophobic surfaces. If it is still more than 130, 140, we categorized it as superhydrophobic surfaces. Now, if you look at the first thing, if the contact angle is 0, that means what is the state of degree of wetting? It is perfect wetting. Contact angle is 0 in the sense perfect wetting. That means immediately after placing the droplet on a solid surface, it is easily absorbed. And what is the strength of interactions between solid and liquid? It is very high interactions. When it comes to liquid, which is very weak. Very weak. And when it comes to the last one, if you see 180 degrees contact angle. Now what is the state of degree of wetting? It is perfectly non-wetting. Now you can see in this image also. Sorry, here you can see in this image also. So after putting the droplet, it's not even enter into the surface. So you can see the solid liquid interactions that are very weak, and liquid to liquid interactions are strong. This is what we have discussed in the previous slides. Understand? Now when it comes to measurement part, measurement of surface energy, so we can find it out. So with the help of contact angle measurement. Okay, so contact angle measurements, we can easily find out the surface energy also. So in this method, the contact angle of the surface is measured with several liquids, usually water and so didomethane. Understand? So based on the contact angle results and knowing the surface tension of liquids, the surface energy can be calculated. So based on the whatever the contact angle results we are getting and knowing the surface tension of liquids, where the surface energy can be calculated. That means, suppose if you are putting a drop of water, so already we know the surface tension of a water droplet, and we know the contact angle. From the contact angle meter we can find it out. So from both the things we can find out this surface energies. Okay, so practically if you see, the analysis is done automatically by contact angle meter. Now you can see in this image where this image is obtained through contact angle meter. Now you can see left side it is 114, here also it is 114. The contact angle is 114 degrees. Okay, and finally this is the formula which is used to measure the contact angle of a cylindrical rods. So understand. So this is all about the surface energy concept. Hope you understand this surface energy. Okay, so I'll just brief out. So throughout this presentation, where we have discussed in detail about the wettability concept and then surface energy concept. So how these two are related to this water repellency. So if you want to make the surface, the hydrophilic surface into hydrophobic, so what should be the surface energy we need to achieve to make the surface, solid surface, highly resistant towards the water particles. This is all these things we have discussed in detail in this presentation. Hope you understand the class, and whatever the outcome I explained you in the beginning, I told you in the beginning, you might have got that outcome. Okay, so thank you.